Hey everybody, it's Dave here, and with Vikings First and SKOL, we're waiting on a 2-minute warning. Let's see how this goes. I want to wish everybody a very merry of Christmases. If you are celebrating, please do. I'm enjoying my eggnog. Yes. Handmade from scratch. And I have, there we go. All right. Hey, Jason. Hey, Chuck. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Yes, Dalton, the offense needs to score, obviously, if we want to hope to win this game. And if they score 7 or score 6, kick the extra point, we win. But can they? That's the question. It's been one of those games. Oh my, has it been one of those games? Drives you absolutely bananas. At least it does me, and that's too far. That's what happens when you play with the camera. I need to probably put it on track me mode, but anyways, it is the Vikings. Nick Mullins threw 3 interceptions today, all deep. He was like, hey, I got people open, but screw it, I'm going deep. And there he went. So that's what happens. We have injuries out the wazoo today. Addison's out. Hawkinson's out. Blackman's out. Who else? DJ Wanham's out. Everybody, it seems like a battlefield, and we're losing the war. So, hey, stuff happens. Unfortunately, it tends to happen to your Minnesota Vikings more than anybody else. Trust me, I know. Do I like it? Oh, hell no. Not just no, but hell no. All right. Packers almost lost to the Panthers. Well, it would have been nice if they lost. I know Chicago wanted them to lose, but not have the Panthers lose as well, because they want that draft pick. Justin says, can the Vikings pull off a Christmas miracle? Well, hell, not with that throw. Oh, I love having Mullins in here. Don't you? So frustrating, so frustrating, so frustrating. By the way, I'm watching over the air, and I'm going to start calling plays here shortly. I'm generally ahead of most people. If you're on cable, I'm going to be ahead of you. Just to give you a heads up. That was blocked at the line of scrimmage by the defender, so that wasn't really his fault. Justin, let's hope for that Christmas miracle. It is 2nd and 10, 56 seconds left. Mullins drops back, bounces around, gets sacked, strip sack, bouncing around. Vikings luckily recover back at their 15-yard line, thanks to Justin Jefferson. Way. Dan says we want the Packers to win to get a worse pick. That's Chicago's thinking. I'm not saying it's ours. Christopher says should put Dobbs in for the drill. And there he goes, guns it downfield deep. Jefferson catches it for the first down at the 43-yard line, and they mark it short. You zebras, you stink. So it's 4th and 1, which is crazy because it shouldn't be. And what do you do? Just spike it or call a timeout? We have no timeouts. Oh, it's a review. Yes, please review it because he had a first down. So, you're welcome, Mary. Chuck is, I got no. Thankfully, we have JJ because we have nobody else. I mean, Powell's caught a couple, but that's it. I mean, everybody else is injured. Jonathan asked, do we need to activate the full practice squad? It's looking that way, Jonathan. It's looking that way. All right, here we go. We got 2nd and 10 now. They gave it to us. Guns it Powell catches it, running up the sideline out of bounds. Couldn't see where he went out of bounds, but the Vikings are driving. It is a first down. We'll see. 58 seconds left. On a replay, beautiful catch, getting out of bounds. Yes, wonderful. That was great. Justin saying, holy crap. Justin, you're going to get excited. And you know what happens when that happens. All right. The Vikings have the ball. I think they got about 30 yards to go for the score. They need the touchdown. They have the ball on Detroit's 30. Ball snapped. Mullins drops back. Shuffle, looks around. Guns it deep. It wobbles. And the fourth interception of the game. Yes. This one's over, folks. There are 49 seconds left, but Detroit has the ball. 4, count them, 4 interceptions by Nick Mullins. Jaron Hall should start the way out. Sorry. It's just the way I feel. If you guys are wondering, eggnog, homemade, 4 Roses eggnog recipe. Absolutely outstanding. I highly recommend it. It has been passed down in my family for 4 generations. Christopher says usually when he gets excited, they disappoint. And they did. And they did. It happens. It's been a rough season. Drewster from Vikings report, was telling me, Dave, it's been a rough season. And it has. With injuries across the board, how people are playing across the board. It's been a rough one. It has. We got 49 seconds left, folks. But your Minnesota Vikings are going to lose. With another loss today, who was it? Or did Seattle win something? Detroit clinched the playoff spot. They have now clinched the NFC North crown. So we can pass it from us who had it to them. Yes. Dan, can we have Hall, please? We'll hopefully get him next week, but we shall see. It is frustrating. Your Detroit Lions have not won the division title since 1993 when it was the NFC Central. Now they won their first ever NFC North title. Oh, and I see I have people sitting in, I didn't realize this, in the green room. I'll bring them both on if they're willing to come on, and that is the wrong screen. Let's go back. Wrong one. Here we go. We go trips, and there they are. We have Jonas on the listeners' left. Same with the viewers' left. And Justin in the middle. Merry Christmas, you guys. I hope all is well, because we know it isn't with the Vikings.
Bah humbug.
And my local channel just switched to the Dallas game. Anyways. Who wants to start? Jonas, you're over there in Germany. You weren't supposed to make it today. You had festive plans. What's up?
Yeah. COVID got in the way, so there's no big family dinner. My father got tested positive today, so yeah, no big family dinner. But on the other hand, I'm able to be here, so at least one bright side.
At least one, because it isn't a game. Anyways, Justin, what do you think? You're down in your parents' basement.
In my mom's basement, yeah. I don't even know what to make of this, to be honest with you. And I can't wait for Tyler to get on too. But again,
he's coming.
There's zero reason. Zero. There hasn't been a good reason since the bye week to not be playing Jaron Hall. And he might be garbage, but we don't know if he's going to be garbage because we've only seen him out there for 4 drives. KOC trusted Jaron Hall up 14 points deep in their own territory against the Packers, and he threw a first down pass. So we might like something about him, but the bottom line is this team, they did as best as they could with all of the injuries, losing Kirk Cousins, not having Justin Jefferson, but it's over, baby. It's over. Stop pretending, oh, we can squeeze into the playoffs and we can be like the Giants in 07. Stop. Just stop. I'm not trying to be ultra negative on Christmas here, but I'm keeping it real. Put Jaren Hall in on New Year's Eve and the following week against Detroit, and let's see what he has. I don't care that they're not officially eliminated from the playoffs. Nick Mullins, what do you want to say about this guy? He makes some spectacularly great things, and he makes some spectacularly bad things. 4 interceptions. Justin Jefferson, all he had to do was lead him a little bit more, and he would have had it inside the 5-yard line and had a chance to win this game. But again, it just is what it is. This team is just mediocre, and it's time to start accepting that they're mediocre and use the last 2 games as an opportunity to see what you have in Jaren Hall and spoil the Packers' opportunity to go to the playoffs. That's it.
Because we're probably not getting any healthier in the next couple of games. So
absolutely not. So,
Jonas, what were your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, it's kind of similar. I mean, I tweeted it today. At some point, if you have a certain amount of injuries, your team is going to break. It's just that way. You can't make up for any injury that happens. You just can't. And we are at a point where it's just too much. You lost like 4 or 5 starters on defense. You've lost on so many guys on offense over the year. Like, I'm not sure which offensive start. Is there any offensive starter who has not been hurt at some point this year? Like, seriously. Maybe Reisner? But he didn't start the year, so
he didn't start.
No, he didn't start.
yeah.
Right.
And I don't know, CJ Ham.
Yeah, CJ Ham. Yeah, there you go.
That's it. But that's it. I think Osborne was hurt. I think for 1 game or at least some time. So he missed some time. None of the starting receivers has been healthy for the whole year. Harkinson has been in and out in multiple games. The offensive line, Darius Hall missed time, Bradbury missed time, Ed Ingram missed a game, O'Neal is missing right now, and we lost the starting QB, and this offense still put up like probably close to 450 yards today. That's insane, or at least 400 yards. I'm not sure about that. I have to look up the numbers. I haven't seen it, but I think Mullins alone has like 411 yards passing, I think.
411, yep.
411, yes, he did. And we had rushing, we had a grand total of 11.
Okay, so not close to 450, but still, the fact that the Vikings are still in this season, the fact that the Vikings were still in this game, it was still a 1-score game that came down to the last drive because all of them
last drive and could have scored. Yes.
Yeah, it's insane. That I mean, for everybody who wants KOC, and I've even seen guys who want to see Kwesi get fired. Like, guys, just think about what they're doing right now and with what circumstances they are doing it.
Here's my problem, though. And let me be clear. I'm in no way saying that anybody should be fired. The problem isn't that. The problem is that you're being just good enough to be mediocre, but not good enough to actually compete in the playoffs for a championship. And yes, you're right. What they have done under the circumstances is a fine, good job. But what does that get you? It gets you mediocrity. Nobody is ever wanting their team to lose. Well, some people do. Definitely not me. But what I'm saying is that, yes, when you look back at it, Dave, you've used the phrase, this team is playing with house money. Okay. Mm-hmm. And for a while, you're at the casino, you walk in with $500 and you hit your first 3 or 4 blackjacks, and now you're sitting at the table with $3,000. So you're up $2,500, right? And then let's say you lose $2,400 of that $2,500. You can tell yourself, all you want. Hey, I'm still up $100, and from where we were, we're still in a good position. Doesn't mean it doesn't sting like heck that you lost $2,400 that you had in your hand at one point. So to use the analogy, it's like, yeah, it's all well and good that we have done halfway decent and are close to being and still have a chance at the playoffs. But at this point, whatever. I'm not even going to go down that road. We got plenty of weeks to go down that and content to do. But for right now, it's okay. Yeah, it just is what it is. They're a mediocre team with all of these injuries. And yes, Kevin O'Connell has done a good enough job to keep us a mediocre team as opposed to us for becoming a bad team. And I some could make the argument that you would have been better off just being bad. But whatever. Merry Christmas, everybody.
True, but I think that's true. But also, I think when you look at the coaching and compare to the personnel they are working with right now, going into the season, we expected this roster to be mediocre without the injuries. And now we have a boatload of injuries. And if you just look at the personnel, this team probably isn't even mediocre. So the coaching staff is elevating this team, the current team, to being mediocre, which of course you can say it doesn't get us anything because they're not doing anything in the playoffs and they probably won't be in position for a good QB in the next draft. Yes, I get that, and that's kind of frustrating. But on the other hand, you will never see somebody give up on a season, and Kevin O'Connell isn't going to do that. None of the players going to do that. So tanking, like people call it, it's never going to actually happen. And in that case, you can say, yes, this season is frustrating. Yes, this season is not what we wanted, but it was still a very good job by certain people. And we can acknowledge that while still seeing the season the way it is, which is a disappointment because it doesn't get us anywhere.
Hey, it is what it is. We all expected to be, or hoping to be better. Coming off of last season where we won 13 games and the offense was clicking, we figured if you can only get the defense to mediocre, we'll be in it. And then injury after injury after injury, and the defense got really good there for a bit. And
I'm going to say this, and I know some people are probably going to disagree with me because they will just look at the record and point that out. If this team is as healthy as it was last year, that's a better team than last year. And I don't think it's close.
Sure. But one thing I have been saying over the last couple of weeks, and we've been praising Flores for his defense, and he deserved all the flowers we threw at him. But I did say, just remember, we're talking about Justin Fields and the Bears. We're talking about a mediocre Vegas Raiders team, and I don't care that they put up 63 points in the next game. And you're also, who did we play before that? You played an okay New Orleans team where Derek Carr was terrible and Jameis Winston got hot for a little bit. So it was one of those, yes, the defense is playing better. It hasn't given up a touchdown in this many quarters, but it isn't like we've been playing a hodgepodge of quarterbacks. Jared Goff, when he's protected, is right there with Kirk Cousins when he's protected. So on one hand, I'm not giving the defense a pass at all because they had but at the same time, the offense did at times put them in positions to be hung out to dry. First drive on each team, long drive, touchdown. Okay. Defense gets a turnover. Vikings do nothing with it. Defense gets a 3 and out. Vikings do nothing with it. And then, yes, Detroit scores 10 quick points. The Vikings offense gets a touchdown to make it close at the half and then comes out and double dips. But at the same point in time, it's hard for me to evaluate how bad that defense was against a very good offensive team when your time of possession today was horrible. And that's just as much on the offense as it is the defense. I'll eschew to you, Tyler. What do you got?
I'm going to be honest. I'm going to disagree with the assessment that it was because they played poor quarterbacks. Flores has just been found out because a lot of what they do is a lot of cover 2, Tampa 2, inverted Tampa 2. And what beats those coverages? Dagger, bow, swing passes. Because what this scheme will do is they'll slide over to one side. You do a swing past the other side. That's why running backs have like 10 yards of running room because of how this scheme is set up. Now, the key is going to be how do you counter it? And it took a little bit, but Justin Fields on that DJ Moore throw that won them the game, dagger. Like, they're starting to figure out this defense. And you know what? All defenses get figured out. How are you going to counterpunch? How are you going to adapt and adjust? And I just don't think the Vikings have been able to quite do enough of that, because even if there are ways to beat your defense relatively easily, if you can get enough pressure, it doesn't matter. And with a lot of these blitzes, they've been able to get enough pressure to kind of mask some of those beaters. So when you look at an all-encompassing factor here, Flores just needs to adjust, and he needs his offense to not turn the ball over. The frustrating part with the Mullins, 3 of his 4 interceptions, easy fixes. Ball placement. Justin Jefferson on that last one, open. Threw a wobbly duck.
Mm-hmm.
The first one to Jordan Addison on that 4th down. You lead Addison, touchdown. The second one, you lead Jefferson, touchdown. That's it. That's it. All he has to do is throw good footballs. Kirk Cousins turns those into touchdowns. And that's kind of the difference we're looking at right now. And I'm not even saying that as like we need to keep Cousins no matter what. I think we need to really assess what that Achilles injury is. Mm-hmm. But when you look at everything all encompassing, we're dealing with a backup quarterback, and it's the wild thing, baby. Those of you who live in Minnesota, you know what I'm talking about. Roller coaster at Valley Fair. That's just what we're going to be dealing with, and it stinks. It's not fun. Well, sometimes it's fun. Like,
would you put Jaron Hall in next week?
I'd really consider it, but they're not going to, because they're still in this thing. The Vikings now are 1 game back in the playoff race. So if the Seahawks and Rams win next week, I don't think it's over, but the Vikings have to win. The Vikings can be eliminated from the playoffs next week.
Here, I don't think they can be eliminated, because if I'm
down the game, they're down a game, and Seattle plays Pittsburgh, and I'm not sure who the Rams play, but if they both win, they clinch or at least eliminate the Vikings, because the Packers can. If they beat the Vikings, I think they will be within a game of a playoff spot, because there are also 7-8. I don't even know if I want to, like, I would love to see the Vikings.
We don't want to lose next week.
No, we don't.
Next week, we're playing against our dreaded division rivals.
Yep.
I want to beat them no matter what. I don't care.
No matter what, I agree.
But let's just talk reality here. The way this Vikings offense is humming right now, and I think Hawkinson's out for the year. I think he tore his ACL. This is all speculation, but when you have your foot planted in the ground and your knee gets pushed backwards, a lot of times it's a bad knee injury, and him kind of hobbling off doesn't necessarily mean it wasn't a torn ACL. Like, it could be nothing, could just be a hyperextension. That's the best case scenario, but I've seen a lot of torn ACLs happen in that exact fashion. Addison, who knows how bad that ankle injury is, but him being ruled out pretty quickly tells me it's probably a high ankle sprain. So you're probably out those 2 guys. And then DJ Wanham, he's done for the year. That looked like a torn ACL. But I do want to say, with all this negativity, and negativity is warranted because of how this game played out, I want to tip my hat to David Quessenberry, the right tackle. He was really good all game long, and he held Aiden Hutchinson in check. He deserves all the flowers for how well he played today. I don't think he's overall a very good football player. He's a serviceable backup. But if you hold a guy like Hutchinson to almost nothing, you deserve a tip of the cap. And I tip my cap off to you, sir.
Mm-hmm.
The Rams are playing the Giants next week. So with the Seahawks playing the Steelers, there is actually a good likelihood both might win their games. So the Vikings are probably going to be.
And if Green Bay wins, they'll have one win on top of us.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. Yeah. If Seattle, the Rams, and the Packers win, that would eliminate them. I was saying from the standpoint of if both Seattle and the Rams would that win, even if we did win. But to your point, yes, they're in deep trouble now. They're in absolute deep trouble right now.
Yeah, this is
expect it with all the injuries. don't get, everybody loves all roses and stuff. With these injuries, don't expect them to win. They shouldn't.
No.
There's just too much.
I think I'm not sure about Tyler's assessment about the Hawkinson injury. I think the knee injury was the hit which landed right on the knee. I think it was an impact injury, I don't think he really planted his leg. I'm not sure about that. So at least I hope I'm right.
Anthony Tollison says the best player today was Patrick Jones. Patrick Jones did
No, he
have
was
a
outstanding.
good game today. And we want to welcome everybody that's in the chat. You guys have absolutely rocked today. Appreciate you being there. Hey, Gary. Merry Christmas, my brother. G-Mac, Jason, Norsefius, Freddie.
I have to say about Patrick Jones, he's one of those dudes who has, like, if he plays 50 snaps, 57 of them are going to be bad, really, really bad. And like 3 of them are like, wow, damn, this is a very good player. And he had those 3 plays today. Otherwise, this season it was pretty rough. Overall, I think the biggest thing this year was that the Vikings were able to cover up a lot of weaknesses due to all of the pressure they are generating off the blitzes. And I think now people have been able to recognize how they can beat that without just throwing bubble screens, because that's what a lot of teams were doing, and they thought they could counter it that way, and it didn't work because the Viking safeties, especially Metellus and Cameron Bynum, have been very good at defending that. And now teams have figured that out, that this isn't the counterpunch to this defense, and they found new ways. And Tyler just mentioned a few of them, and now the Vikings have to generate pressure. Not only on those blitzes, but they have to win one-on-ones. And this defense front can't do that. They have one player who can do that, which is Danielle Hunter. And now Danielle Hunter is just going to get doubled, and everybody else is just useless in the passing game, because they have few guys who are solid against the run, like Phillips and Bullard, but none of them is anything as a pass rusher. So get pass rushers. That's after figuring out the QB situation, getting pass rushers is the biggest offseason assignment for this year.
No question. All right, so here's the Viking scenario. Number 1, you need to pull for the Baltimore Ravens to beat the San Francisco 49ers. And the reason that is simply this. If the Vikings win their last 2 against Green Bay and the Detroit Lions, they will be 9-8. You need San Francisco to still be playing for something, because they play the Rams in the last game of the season. And if the 49ers already have that 1 seed locked up, they may not play, but if they don't, they will. And that gives you the opportunity to have the Rams drop a game, because I agree, the Seahawks facing the Cardinals and the Steelers, those are 2 likely wins there. So short of it is you have to hope the Rams lose in the last game of the season and that you go 2-0. So there you go. That's the quick version. But I digress. To your point, I'm trying to decide where I want to put my frustration, because I agree that O'Connell has done the best that he can do. And to be clear, if anybody tries to say that Kevin O'Connell called a bad game today, I will burn the whole place down, because no, he didn't. He had guys open. It was Nick Mullins who didn't hit him. Yes, it would have been nice to get more than 11 rushes in this, but realistically, the run game wasn't working, and you were behind for near most of the second half. I guess,
and the Lions have one of the best run defenses. So
yes, and they have one of the best offensive lines. Yeah, they have one of the best offensive lines. To your point, Jonas, about they have Danielle Hunter and nobody else. Well, obviously Patrick Jones today notwithstanding. But circling back, I get that they are still alive for the playoffs, but to me, I don't see how Jaren Hall would be any worse than what Nick Mullins is doing. I'm sure there's things that Nick can do that Jaron can't, but I also think that there's a possibility, even just based on what limited information we have, that maybe Jaren Hall wouldn't be throwing 4 interceptions. I mean, Tyler, you're the president and I'm the vice president of the Jaren Hall Club, so I know I'm admittedly biased, and you're doing a better job of hiding your bias than I am. But, at this point, am I crazy to say that? And again, I agree with you. They're not going to do it until they're eliminated, and by that point, you're only going to have 1 game left. But putting aside what we think that they're going to do, what would your actual opinion be on that, if I may?
First off, I just want everybody to enjoy a nice, delicious God's beer tonight, Busch Light, because you're going to need it after that game. But
Eggnog,
two,
baby. Eggnog.
It's a really difficult proposition because Nick Mullins played relatively well, and I know that feels wrong to say, but the third interception was just bad. He shouldn't have thrown that football. The first 2 were good decisions, bad throws, and the fourth one, good decision, bad throw. Like, if you just take one of those and make it a good throw, changes the whole dynamic of the game, and the Vikings probably win. So he's putting the Vikings in position to win. He is thriving at multiple points without some of his star weapons on the outside, but it's just figuring out how to eliminate. Like, last week, you had the bozo moments where he's making poor decisions and those become turnovers. This week, he's making good decisions, but they're turning into turnovers because he's not making the proper throw.
Can Hall make those throws?
Hall can, but is he going to make the right decisions? These are the conversations that they're having in the building. You look at this all 22, which I'm going to do probably on Tuesday because tomorrow's Christmas, and I'm probably going to come to the conclusion that Mullins played well. He just needs to execute better. And that's the same conversation we have with Ken O'Connell. Execution matters because it doesn't matter how good your play calls are. If you don't execute, it's going to stink. And you pair all that together, and I really don't see a situation where Mullins doesn't get the start next week unless he's hurt. I advocated to take him out at halftime because of Hall, because then you have halftime to get adjusted over to Hall, and you can get everybody comfortable and on the same page. He just wasn't playing that well, but he did have a good final drive, and then he had a really good drive coming out of halftime. Mullins is just going to be this streaky, and you're just going to kind of have to live with it and overcome some of the bullshit that comes with it. And it stinks. You don't want to have to deal with it, but this is what you have to deal with backup quarterback. Not everybody can get the ghost of Joe Flacco 2012 and have them dominate for your team. The Browns got really lucky there, and Kevin Stefanski is a tremendous football coach. That helps a lot too, but we just kind of gotta have to live with it, and it sucks. It really does, because this team felt like they could potentially be a Super Bowl contender with Kirk Cousins, and everything kind of crumbled due to injuries. But that's the life in the NFL. And they're 7-8. You have Kevin O'Connell calling really good football games. Mm-hmm. They just need to execute better, and they're just not. Jonathan makes a comment, what's the point of going to the playoffs? It's a culture thing. It is a sense of accomplishment for the team. When you look at broad scheme of things, yeah, you want the higher draft pick, because if you're not going to make the Super Bowl, what does it matter? Well, it matters for building confidence. It matters for being able to build off of the prior season to be able to catapult into next year. It feels meaningless, but it's not. And
also think about the message it sends to possible free agent additions. Just show them what injuries they dealt with, and they got this roster with those injuries into the playoffs, and now they have some serious money to throw around and get guys in. That's a big message you're getting to potential free agent additions, because that gives you a lot of confidence, because they're going to say, well, they are probably not going to be that unlucky again in that many ways. Now they're getting better because they can add a lot of guys, and that's a team I would want to sign with. It's the same way for potential QBs in the draft. If I'm a QB entering this draft and the Vikings might be in the market for one, I would absolutely want to go there.
Mm-hmm. That's a really good point.
I want to circle back to your point about Nick was making the right decisions but wasn't executing them. And then you pose the question, would Jaren Hall make those right decisions? I'd like to know if he would, because what I do know is that Nick has the ability most of the time to make the right choices, but doesn't always have the ability to execute it. And, you got the pluses and minuses. All right. If this guy doesn't have the ability to make the decisions, but when he does, can actually execute them, where do you balance out which one outweighs the other? And I'm just saying, I'd rather see if Jaren Hall has the ability to make those right decisions. But I get it. Ownership is not going to go that route. The coaches are not going to go that route. And nobody's suggesting that the players would either. It's just a matter of I'd rather see what else, because I know what Nick Mullins is. He's a guy that is going to keep it close because he can make some great throws, and he's also a guy that can very well easily throw it away. And I'd rather see if Hall could do better or worse, but that's just me. Anyway.
Yeah. And
frustrating.
The tough part is parsing out the future versus the now. And right now, the Vikings have built a culture of trying to win at all costs. And putting in Hall right now, considering the whole body of work from Mullins today, I don't think it would be sending the proper message to that team, even though I think it would be probably smarter to just kind of see what Hall has. For it. One, he could help us win now, and two, it would be building to try and figure out what he has for the future. But Mullins, I think, is the best bet to try and win right now. And I don't think that you can justify taking him out after a game like this, even though I think it wasn't great. Like, we know it wasn't great, but it wasn't an adjunct disaster. Yeah, 4 interceptions, but we contextualized them. So when you add the context, it's just a little bit different. I don't think they can. I don't think they can justify putting Hall in right now. I'd love to see it. I would want to see it. But based on how they've handled things and how they operate, I don't think they're going to.
Gotcha.
I'm just curious. You don't think that
Dave in a QB? No,
Yeah,
you wouldn't. My arm shot. No, you wouldn't. Anyway,
you don't think that you could justify it to the team that a guy who's just thrown 4 interceptions, that the other guy might give us a better chance? You think that would be that tough of a sell?
I think with how you contextualize those 4 interceptions, I think it would be a tougher sell, because Mullins still did a lot of really good things in this game. Like, I'm not saying it's a perfect scenario. I'm not saying it's a perfect argument, but it's tough when you have Mullins driving the team down the field and being able to make explosive plays and finding KJ Osborne deep, trusting Justin Jefferson in that spot, and making proper reads on 3 of those 4 interceptions, but just not being able to kind of put it all together. I think you can look at the film, learn from it, and be better next week. I just don't see a situation where you could truly justify, Jaren Hall is for sure the better guy. I think Mullins starts next week, but I also think his leash is a lot shorter. Kind of like the situation with Dobbs going into that Raiders game.
We'll see.
Yes, Justin Jefferson is a machine. That catch at the I was like, seriously, again. But I digress. That's the thing. You can't even talk about and celebrate what a great game Justin Jefferson had with how it ultimately has turned out here. So that's most unfortunate. But
it is. I didn't even look at the stats. What did he put up for a stat line?
6 for 141.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a touchdown.
That's crazy.
But KJ Osborne also, he's getting a lot of flack, and it was justified this season, but he had a very good game today. He had 5 for 95 and a touchdown. Harkinson still had 4 for 58 before going down. Brandon Powell had 53 yards. So there were a lot of guys who actually got something done today. But yeah, like I said, at some point, your team is going to break after all those injuries.
Yep. So, with that, I would like to end this broadcast. It's Christmas, folks. That was not the present we wanted. It's the present we got. So remember, if you get that Red Ryder BB gun, don't shoot your eye out. With that, what have you got coming up, Jonas?
Probably a review and where we are talking about this game again, and we'll look at the chances they still have after this game. The way things are shaking out for the Vikings, I think they still, if they lose the next two games, and let's be clear, I don't want them to, but they might still have an outside shot at possibly a top 10 pick, or at least close to that, which would make it interesting for at least QB3. So maybe Jaden Daniels or whoever ends up being QB3 might be in striking distance. We'll see. So either way, there's still room for a lot of interesting conversations, and we are probably going to have them both here and in Germany.
I guarantee it. Speaking of here, Tyler, what have we got in the works?
Oh, there's going to be some post-game stuff. A lot of it will probably come Tuesday. I'll have a little bit here tonight. Otherwise, I'm going to enjoy Christmas. We were going to try and record some stuff for tomorrow's show. Didn't happen for a multitude of reasons. So everybody enjoy your Christmas without a little bit of me. And I know that might be difficult, but I hope.
How am I going to sleep now?
If Dave and I can make some work, we may have an extra show on Tuesday, but we'll have to talk about that offline and see if we can make something happen. But look, Merry Christmas. Enjoy it. I have two 5-pound prime rib roast smoking in the Traeger right now.
Nummy.
I'll be right over.
Justin, what have you got coming up?
Honestly, the only thing I know for sure is that I will have my normal Tuesday show at 6:30 Central Time. I don't know that I'm going to be doing the 8:15 SKOL for days tomorrow night. Kind of depends on how long I stay over here in my parents' house and my mom's basement. Okay, everybody run the mom's basement joke into the ground. But in all seriousness, we appreciate every person that comes through the chat here to all of our shows. Go subscribe to me on Purple and Gold for days, and I will definitely see you Tuesday nights. And if not, if I do end up getting one for tomorrow, ring that notification bells. But I would just say plan on Tuesday night.
Well, I'm going to be enjoying my Christmas. Our prime rib is sitting in the fridge, finishing up its defrosting. It'll go for tomorrow night. And but most meaningful to all of us is what our viewers, the community means to us, and how good you've been to all of us. And we wish to share the happiness of this holiday season, whether you celebrate Christmas or Hanukkah or Kwanzaa or just having a day off. We hope it is the best, that you stay safe, that you are amongst loved ones, that you're having a good time, drinking great beverages and eating wonderful food, and that we get to see you right afterwards. So from all of us to all of you, Merry Christmas. And what do we say, gentlemen?
SKOL Santa Claus.
SKOL Vikings. And wrong scene. Right. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and ring the bell, and share this episode with your friends and even your enemies. We'd love it. Thanks for watching Vikings First and SKOL. We are part of the Fans First Sports Network, and we appreciate each and every one of you. SKOL.